a deductible. June 1st is the start of hurricane season. Some South Georgia residents are still cleaning up from previous storms. Climate change is making hurricanes more likely to be stronger. It's also making them move slower and drop more rain, which heightens the risk of flooding. Molly Samuel, WABE News.
Coming up next, Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens in studio. This is Closer Look.
Support for Closer Look comes from the Candida Fund, supporting Chris 180's work to help Atlantans cure violence and recover from trauma through counseling, wraparound support, and by changing social norms. Learn more about community safety at chris180.org. And from If Then, an Atlanta-based creative and digital agency that helps the world's leading brands solve their most complex problems. Learn more about If Then at ifthen.com.
Hi, this is Ari Shapiro, host of All Things Considered. When I'm hosting the show, I'm always listening for the thing that's sticky, the thing that jumps out of the radio and grabs you, the thing that'll make you go home to your spouse or your kid or your friend and say, hey, you'll never believe what I heard today. All Things Considered. Listen every afternoon at 4 on 90.1 WABE.
And Closer Look continues from WABE in Atlanta. I'm Rose Scott. Speaking of Atlanta, the city of Atlanta, Georgia's most populous city and often considered the economic engine of the state. Now, we know Atlanta is home to some major corporations such as the Home Depot, UPS, of course, Coca-Cola, and as well as great institutions of higher learning. There's also big tech. And according to Bim Joyner and his folks, Atlanta influences everything. But Atlanta, much like a lot of cities, is grappling with addressing affordable housing problems, implementing improved public safety measures, coming up with innovative ways to improve transit and mobility for its residents, and at the same time, remain appealing to economic development. Current Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens knows all of this. He campaigned on these issues, and of course, the pandemic still exists. Well, what's been atop the priority list so far, nearly halfway through his first year? Let's talk about it. I'm joined now by Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens. Welcome.
Hey, Rose, how are you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
You know, at the time of this broadcast, you're coming from a press briefing to talk about the city's summer safety plan. I want to begin there.
Mm-hmm.
What should residents know? What did you all unveil this morning, early this morning?
Yeah, so we went out to, let the public know about our summer safety plan, which actually started already. This weekend that we just had was Memorial Day weekend, Atlanta Jazz Festival, a bunch of events all over the city. People were everywhere. And the summer safety plan got put into full effect already, which is why we saw negligible incidents at the Jazz Festival. Over, tens of thousands of people came out for 3 days. And then when DeKalb canceled their Caribbean Fest, our Caribbean Fest doubled. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have any crime incidents or significant incidents. And this is all because we're using bicycles, we're using motorcycles, mounted patrol, which is our horses, mm-hmm. And we're getting out into the community as much as possible, being very visible with police. Of course, our police are trained to also be very community focused. And so we're doing as much as we can to increase those patrols, but also be very active with community engagement.
It was a holiday weekend, of course, yeah. But every weekend in Atlanta, there could be something. There could be a festival or a neighborhood festival or some type of something. Are you able to do that every weekend? Are you all pledging to do that every weekend this summer?
Well, I wouldn't say at that level. I mean, this weekend was huge because of Memorial Day. But each weekend, we're going to be focusing on those things, going to those hot spots, Edgewood and the entertainment areas. And this is also consistent with why I created the nightlife division. And so we have a team of folks that go out and talk to nightlife establishments, bars, restaurants, clubs, lounges, teaching them about, safety inside their facilities, but around their facilities. We've had what I call training day, and we're doing that quarterly where we train these establishments on how to make sure that they're safe. They understand CPR, how to reduce people getting intoxicated and starting fights and those things. But then the other thing, Rose, that's also important is our summer jobs program to keep these youth busy.
Yeah.
And so many other things like that.
I want to get to that in a moment, but I want to stick with public safety
Yeah.
because, as you know, obviously, Chief Rodney Bryant officially retires this week.
Yeah.
We talked to him not too long ago. You have Atlanta's Assistant Police Chief, Darren Schoenbaum, 20 years on the force, but he's just stepping in as interim.
Yeah.
So with this nationwide search, are you looking for someone, Mayor, that can come in and give you some strategies and innovative ideas, or do you want someone that you all can work together and come up with how you want to improve public safety overall for the city?
Yeah. So when I came in, I said I wanted to give Chief 100 days, put him on a contract with me to kind of say, hey, reducing crime is the goal, adding more officers by doing better recruitment, and also getting out and doing the community-based policing. Chief and I came to the decision on the 100th day, or just before the 100th day, that he was going to retire. And that's great because now he's his leadership over all these years, the department's in a great place. He came in at a crazy time, with the pandemic and a lot of civil unrest. And now, I'm elevating Chief Schoenbaum to be the interim chief, and he's got a storied history with APD of a lot of community engagement, LGBTQ community, Hispanic community, all these things. So he's a community-based policing leader, but he's been a zone commander. So he's somebody who can lead the troops. He has the trust of the force, but also the community's trust. And so with that being said, we have a good, nice, already established ground game. And so what I want to do is hear about great, innovative ideas from across the country. People that are sending me LinkedIn, there's majors and assistant chiefs and chiefs from all over the country saying they want to come here and be.
They just send you the LinkedIn.
Oh, they DM me in the LinkedIn. And they're like, hey, Mayor, I heard you're looking for a chief. I was like, wow,
But if you're in a city where you want your chief to stay, obviously you may not get that one, but listen, every city is grappling with this in terms of how we're going to, particularly as there's a continued spike in crime. What are the earmarks? What are the characteristics that you really want in this next chief?
Yeah, so a chief that would come from out of the city would have to come up with a lot of history and a lot of innovative ideas to overcome the fact that I really want someone who knows Atlanta. Knowing Atlanta is a very important piece to this puzzle because we're the heartbeat of the Southeast. We got the world's busiest airport. We have all these higher learning educational institutions like the AUC and Georgia Tech and State, et cetera. You have all these Fortune 500 companies. So, but you also have 240 neighborhoods that all, are valuable. So this place is special. It's different. It's got a storied history. Civil rights is in our blood. So while we are doing policing, we have to make sure that we are aware of criminal justice reform and how to do community-based policing. That's
Are
fair.
there internal candidates that you hope will come forward and maybe throw their name in?
Oh yeah, I would love for some internal candidates to throw their name in. Some that are currently with APD, some that are either retired recently, or some APD has produced a lot of chiefs that are in other smaller cities now.
Yes, I think one went out to college not too long ago.
There's about 5 in the metro area, and then you go to North Carolina, you go to Louisville, you go to some other places, and it's like this great APD training has produced some chiefs around the nation that want to come back.
How crucial is this summer? Listen, we know you can't predict, you can't say we are only going to have X amount of, unfortunately, homicides or break-ins or whatever. You can't predict that. But how crucial is this summer in terms of your department having a hold on the crime spike, not increasing too much?
Yeah.
Because we went through this before, the neighborhoods want to pull out, or people are saying, okay, enough is enough. How crucial is this summer?
Yeah, nationwide history tells you that summer is when crime spikes. It picks up every city across the nation. You have to do what you can to manage it. You got more people coming in and going, more daylight hours, more youth out of school, needing something to do. It's just a tough time. And so what we're doing is we're making sure that from the police force all the way throughout the community that we have all the tools we need. And that means more cameras in places that we need them, more lights like my Light Up the Night initiative, so that we can reduce crime and crashes and those things. So we're using the environment to help us reduce crime. We're using community outreach to reduce crime, like going to the clubs and bars and neighborhood associations. But we're also making sure that our police department is ready.
How can you do that to also ensure you don't burn out your officers? Do you have enough officers? You talked about retention being a factor.
Yeah.
Do you have enough? I don't know what the numbers are. I'm assuming you check in with the chief.
Oh yeah.
In terms of your numbers, in terms of those officers out in the community, Do you have enough?
No, we don't have enough. And we are down about 500 officers, depending on the count, on where we should.
500?
Yeah, if you think about the goal used to be 2,000 officers. And we've recruited some more, so I would say we put us around about 400 now that I think about how many we brought in. But it's still not enough. I mean, because I want all of our officers to have support. And that means our community then has support. When you go to roll calls, there may be on a 14, in a zone that has 14 beats. Sometimes there's 12 officers. So that means 2 additional beats are going, covered by officers taking more ground, which means less opportunity to patrol that area at the level that I wanted or that level that we needed. So that's why we've got these new hiring initiatives. We're bringing on new officers all the time. We just did a pinning ceremony and graduations are coming. So, we're up in our number of people coming to the police department, but it takes 26 weeks to train an officer. So as we get through these 26 weeks and put them on the street, we're going to have the support that they need. And then we got to do it all over again the very next year.
I want to go back to a moment when you were a young person in the city in the summer. What did you do? Did you have a hard time finding a job when you were, in those teen years?
No, I first of all, before I was a teen, I was cutting grass. I was going out there, raking leaves and doing whatever I could. I was, a part of organizations where we would sell, it's called Southwest Atlanta Youth Business Organization. We sold apples.
Okay.
We sold all kinds of things. So programs helped me.
And that's why I asked you that, because it appears, and you've talked about this before when you were on city council, you had a plan to eliminate the water boys and water girls. First of all, is that plan implemented? Will we still see that this summer, or what's the city's doing about that?
Yeah, Rose. So I am extremely careful about youth. This is I try to think about myself as how I grew up. And if I came out there and just pushed every young person out there selling water off the street today, and I haven't stood up my summer youth program, don't have everything needed for police athletic league where they can play ball and summer recreation and entrepreneurship program. If in April or February, I would have just started locking up young kids, that would have hurt me and would have hurt our cities eventually. So now that we have enough carrots, we got everything that a young person needs right now, 3,000 jobs. Between 14 and 24, you can have a job in this city. We are pushing that out there right now, and you will be paid around $15 an hour.
I want you to say it loud, as they say, for the people in the back.
Yeah.
And for folks that'll text me, you're saying right now.
Yeah.
For those youth age 14 on up to young adults 24,
right.
There are jobs available here in the city of Atlanta for them.
Absolutely. This is what the program is going to help us get these young folks off the street selling water dangerously and into an occupational career field. So between the city of Atlanta's jobs at Parks and Rec and the Public Works Department, the Law Department, and at the city's corporations, Coca-Cola, Georgia Aquarium, IKEA, Amazon, Accenture, AT&T, they've all said they're going to hire these folks.
I just got an email. Ask the mayor, how can my son sign up?
Hey, whoever that is, atlyouthengage.com. atlyouthengage.com. You go on there. It's 2 buttons. One is if you're a youth and you want to sign up, all you got to do is put your name and information. Or if you're an employer, you sign up. 2 buttons. If you're a youth or an employer, and we're doing a matchmaking. That's what we're doing.
All right, because the emails are coming in. I want to stick with the youth for a moment, but particularly with the students, because I remember back in your State of the City address, and you pledged $5 million toward early education, challenging APS to match that and the private sector to commit to $10 million. First of all, has that happened? And then how will this money be spent? Is this for existing programs or expansion of early ed? Where are we with this?
Yeah, all this is important. Root causes of crime and poverty, all this stuff goes all the way back to, 0 through 3, a lot of things. The infancy matters. The amount of literacy you get as an infant matters. And so that's why I made the largest investment in the city's history, $5 million towards early childhood education. And we already got another $5 million coming from the Whitehead Foundation. We're getting them to bring their money to the table. They've said yes. APS CVS is doing their budget process right now to try to get their $5 million, and that'll put us at 15 towards our $20 million goal. And the way you start something is you go out there and you announce it and you say it, and people start understanding the value of it. And so we're already at 15, headed towards 20. And I believe that pretty soon we'll get to that 20. And it's going towards very important programs. So get it this way.
Mhm.
First, we do have some child care centers, but a lot of them have had no renovation. You wouldn't put it is not up to par.
Mhm.
So to get them up to par, we're asking those child care centers, particularly on the south side of town, a lot of disinvested places, come to us and we'll give you grants to improve and modernize and fix broken bathrooms and kitchens. And, you don't have the supplies you need. So we're helping those centers. The other thing we're doing is giving scholarships to parents that can't afford quality child care. So that may be a city worker, maybe a MARTA bus driver or a school teacher that can't afford $800 a month or $1,000 a month for adequate child care. Well, we're putting together a grant out of that $20 million to help reduce their costs, paying it to the provider to pay down. Maybe they can pay $400 and we pay $400. But these are the type of things that we're implementing. And the last thing is a little bonus to those teachers that's been taking care of our kids in the early childhood pre-K space.
Speaking of APS, have you had a chance to sit down with Superintendent Dr. Lisa Herring at all?
Oh, I sit down with her often. Love working with APS superintendent.
What are those conversations like?
Those conversations are very well. She's like, it's great to have a collaborative partner. We're giving, child savings accounts to her kindergartners. We've done that.
I know. Where was that? We were in kindergarten.
I know. I mean, we'd be rich by now, but trying to help her, because what we're doing also is we understand that after the bell, so much is needed. They're doing their part during the time of day of school. They're going to handle their part. My belief is I'll help where necessary. But after the bell, after school programs, parks and recreation, transportation to and from these places, how can we help get the kid ready so that at 8 o'clock when the bell rings again, they're not hungry, they're clean, and they got a right mind ready for work in the school day.
So when we talk about the youth, and then we talk about public safety, and we talk about these communities, and you mentioned the 240 some neighborhoods, and neighborhoods have been changing for a while. But you and I sort of had off the record conversation about housing. So you ready for the affordable housing part of this?
Oh yeah, it's crazy now.
I want to go back though, because in Mayor Bottom's administration, she had the $1 billion affordable housing goal. First question, is that still part of your administration, or is that off the table and you've got to come up with something different?
Yeah, so mine is more about the number of units. You can put a number of $1 billion out there, and I think that was her goal, and she was working.
But didn't her goal have a 20,000 unit or something like that? Or 20?
I'm not exactly sure how many units she said, but I'm saying 20,000 units over the next 8 years. And what we're gonna do is we have a lot of land in this city. A lot of land that is underutilized or
that the city
owns, either through Invest Atlanta Housing Authority, MARTA, and even APS has old schools that they're not using, school facilities they're just ripe for us to be able to coordinate and utilize those. The other thing is there are some funding available, and I've made some funding available in my first budget and in the American Rescue Plan money, but there's money out there. We just need to be more coordinated and focused and set the stage.
You have the land. It takes time to build. For people who are listening to this program right now saying, but I'm trying to find something now.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation not too long ago, and I asked the panel, you were on it, is Atlanta too late right now trying to, quote, fix this? And what does fixing look like?
Yeah.
Is it just the 20-something thousand units?
Oh, no, 20,000 won't solve all our problems. It's not enough. It's a goal that we're going to hit. It's a big goal. But our problem, more people come to Atlanta every day. Everybody's coming here. And so, inflation is high. You've heard, the cost of even buying a used car. You can buy a new car, sell it, and make money off of it. This is a crazy time that we're living in. So what we have to do, if someone is unable to wait for us to build out all 20,000 units, which, by the way, I've already broke ground or cut ribbons on over 1,000 units already in the first 5 months. We are aggressive right now.
Okay, but what's available now?
Yeah, out of that probably 1,000, you probably got about 300-400 that is somewhere that you can apply for right now. But the deal is we do have to have a lot more construction, and we got down payment assistance for your listeners that are looking to buy a home, because that's important for me too. A lot of these are apartments for rent, but and we need that, but we also need people to be able to buy homes. So I got a lot of money out there for down payment assistance that you can go to investatlanta.com to apply for.
I want to be very fair, because I told you this. I was with a friend. We were driving around on the west side looking at houses. Went over in Holderness, and shout out to Holderness, so y'all just don't get mad at me. A house on Holderness just sold for $500,000 plus.
Yeah.
There's $1 million. Now, I used to play ball over off Edgewood back in the day, and they were like, get out of here before the sun go down. Now the $1 million homes, townhomes, whatever they are, on Edgewood.
Yeah. So, that tells you gentrification is real. And let me just park right here for a second. In 2013, when I was running for city council, I would tell people in Westview, near Holderness, some of those folks over there were saying, we don't need no more affordable housing. Y'all dump all y'all affordable housing on the west side and south side. That's what y'all do as leaders. And this is when I was running for office, and they were saying, we don't want no more affordable housing. I said, wait a minute now. You saw what's happened on Emmons Park, and you've seen what's happened in West End. You're literally next door to West End. You're Westview. And then I said, that train is going to hit Grove Park, and then my neighborhood, Collier Heights, and then Sylvan, and all these other. And folks were saying, we don't need no affordable houses. And please know that what's affordable today will not be affordable tomorrow. And what we're trying to do is continue to make sure that people stay in their homes, and we give programs to help them fix their roofs, be able to fix those windows that are, leaking air and all that stuff, so that they can stay in their home, so they don't have to leave. Because just because you sell your house for $250 today, yay, because you bought it for $85.
Where are you going?
Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? And if you're a senior, you're going to be farther away from your nexus of knowledge, where you have your grocery store, your church, or whatever.
Speaking of folks being able to stay in their home, and we've had this conversation before. What is the latest with, I think it's 4 residents left in Peoplestown, Mayor Dickens? This is going back 2 administrations now. Is it not time for the city to somehow just come to some agreement with these homeowners? I remember a clip, and it was from one of the local stations. I can't remember which one. And you said they could stay.
Yeah.
But now there's some new events. What do you want to see happen for these 4 households in Peoplestown?
Yeah, so that I've as new mayor, I've inherited a lot of things, and even the previous mayor inherited this problem and a couple others. This one is personal to me. I've met with these families, sat in their living rooms, talked to them on the phone. They call me, text me, and I'm advised not to always respond, but I do. And I care about them, and I want to see them made whole. I was truthful when I said I didn't want to see them ever get evicted. And particularly that was November. And I was saying, it's getting cold. You are not going to get kicked out of your home, not on my watch, while it's, 30 degrees or 40 degrees outside. And we've held true to that. Currently, we are in great conversations about what the path is forward to make them whole and to make sure that we can reduce the flooding for the rest of the community members. So that is an ongoing, which I believe I'll see the end of in this year. We will not be talking about this next year.
Does it mean that you're hoping then they can stay, or you all offer them fair value for their homes?
Yes, the second one, the latter.
Why should they move if there's no flooding? Are you all sure? Because now there's
flooding.
Now there's another issue there, because based on the reports, other reports, that perhaps all the information wasn't sent to the courts in terms of the people who came in and did the study. It's a whole lot of paperwork and all that involved. You would rather for these households to sell because you have concerns about flooding.
Yeah. So, I came at this completely at a zero state. I'm an engineer. I like to look at things from, total, aspects of it. So I looked at the engineering of it and the vault that's necessary right now to be able to retain all this water. It's a system. So there's 3 vaults that are necessary, because this is a bowl where they live.
Over there. And I've gone over there after it's rained, and I want to be honest, I didn't see any flooding, but maybe I didn't go on the right day.
Yeah, well, you got to go on what they call a 50-year or 100-year weather event. Okay. And there's no shortage of pictures in my phone of water that's all over the place. And that whole area is in a bowl. And that's why we have pavers down there. We've got all these things to try to prevent it, but it's just not enough. And so the goal now is to make sure that we make everybody whole by taking care of this very critical issue.
Are you willing to stay on the record? Then y'all will give them fair value, because Peoplestown was not that far from some of the other neighborhoods. Again, $1 million homes. So y'all going to look up Zillow, put the address in there and make them an offer, or how does that work?
All that's already been in the works. And when you look at Zillow, I think they're going to be very happy with what we've already been talking about with these families.
Because you just said when you sell something, where are you going to go?
Right. Exactly. On the record, it's not my goal to have someone's house that we need for this project, not for just a project's sake, but for the safety of the whole community, where this water that sometimes feces and other stuff bubbles up because of the nature of that system. These folks are going to be able to leave out of those homes and go into homes.
And
that
what would y'all
in
put there? Just some type of retention, something?
a vault, a huge vault that goes underground. And to have a vault, you got to have a pre-vault that you build to be able to manage the water while you build out the vault. And then above that will be a garden, like a pond and a garden, et cetera, similar to like old Fourth Ward Park and the West Side Park.
And I want to honor my time to you, but now you say this, and if these folks leave, we better not see a Trader Joe's pop up there.
Oh no, we're not going to see a Trader Joe's, a Family Dollar, or anything. We're going to deliver what was required by the consent agreement, and also what the city needs.
Let's talk about then economic development. And I'm going to ask this question again because I asked it to the previous administration. What is going on with Mall West End? We've had this conversation, and to my knowledge, now 3 developers have pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
What's been the problem here?
Yeah, so when I came into office, I had one of the first set of meetings I had was with Chuck Taylor, who's the owner of the West End Mall.
And also a member of the WAB board, for full disclosure.
Okay, all right, gotcha. Didn't know that. And also 2 teams that are the most recent teams that have worked with him on that. Now, to make sure your listeners are aware, the Mall West End is a privately owned location.
But you all have some say.
Yeah, we have some say, because most of the projects that you would do there are going to need some serious sewer work and infrastructure that's underground, which is going to require the city's actions and a whole lot of infrastructure stuff. And we want to see a major development there that's got mixed income housing, that's got mixed use, where you got retail, office, and maybe even a hotel. And of course, all that can be done right there, and it benefit the AUC and the community. And that's who we want at the table.
Let's talk about that mixed use terminology, because for some people, when they hear mixed use, they roll their eyes like, okay, they're going to put in like a CVS, and they'll put in some, high-rise apartments, and a few will be affordable. But what does that development look like, particularly for that community on the West Side?
Yeah, so mixed income is various housing units from people that are market rate all the way down to 80%, 60%, 30% of area median income. So your school teachers all the way up to your school superintendent could live there. That's what mixed income is. Now, mixed use means retail on the bottom, where we'll have some shops, because it's currently a mall. So we want some of those existing tenants to be able to come back in there and have affordable rents, and then to also attract some new tenants that may be local that folks want to see there. And then above it, you will have apartments, condos, or what have you, and around it may be some office, because there's no office space in that area.
Should these developers talk to the community first,
absolutely,
before they come to you all, and whether because most of them want a tax break or some type of tax incentive. Some will say, well, we don't need it. I mean, unless you're like Microsoft. But you prefer they really have an assessment, meetings and everything with the communities, and then put something together and then say, this is what we're thinking about doing in the city of Atlanta? Because it seems like often it's backwards. Right. They'll buy the property and say, hey, we'll come talk to you. And then,
Well, that's the, most of my responses to them is, let me know what MPUT says. Let me know what the AUC consortium says. Let me know what this West End Neighborhood Association says, Oakland City. Let me know what they're saying. And then I need to see the tail of the tape from those meetings. And then I send staff. My senior advisor is hands-on with this, but just rest assured, while we have not moved all the way forward just yet with a new buyer is because I want to make sure that the community says yes to them, that the community says we've heard them. And a lot of people need to feel comfortable about this. This is legacy. This is important to Atlanta. This is where a lot of Atlantans went to get a lot of their goods and services
Oh,
taken
I
care
used to
of.
go over there too.
Yeah, yeah. And when we know that we need to do something with the Mall West End, it should be iconic and stabilizing for that community, and it should not cause problems, and it should also be something we're proud of. And that's where I keep pushing them back to work it out.
Where are you with Microsoft and in terms of their community engagement? And are you satisfied with what you've been hearing? Because you made a pledge. You told
Yeah.
me, I want to go in and renegotiate, redo the deal, so to speak.
Yeah.
Where are we with that?
Yeah, Microsoft is on their way. Microsoft is doing what they are supposed to do. They have hired a lot of local talent, a lot of local leaders that are community outreach folks. They're also engaging in the process of working with, they've already started working with the school that's nearby and working with the community Grove Park Neighborhood Association, Grove Park Foundation. They respond well to pressure because I'm glad the community, this is me saying this out loud, put everybody on the spot. If I'm on the spot, put Microsoft on the spot. And I've talked to Microsoft extensively and said to them, you guys are the size of a nation state. I mean, there's countries that wish they were the size of Microsoft. So if we got a problem with education, if we got a problem with transportation, if we got a problem with sustainability and the Proctor Creek watershed, if we got a problem with affordable housing, you coming into our city, you are a nation state. You got to solve these problems like a government has to think about these problems. And they're saying, okay. And they've stood up organizational structures around that. Everything ain't fixed yet, but they are well on their way. And I'm hoping that the community continues to push them on that.
As we begin to wrap up, when you look at Southwest Atlanta, that side of Atlanta, are you optimistic that this will be a community of neighborhoods that will be able to have their legacy residents stay, at the same time benefit from the economic development, at the same time benefit from all those programs you said that the youth need? It's like pushing everything that you just said today. It really does need to happen. If there's any part of Atlanta, it has to happen on that side.
It has to. I mean, I was born and raised on that side. I still live on that side, and I see the gentrification coming. And be clear about this: South Side, Southwest residents, they want amenities. They need amenities. They need a grocery store. I'm pushing for that. They need a financial institution there. They don't have any banks on Campbellton Road. They don't have any banks on Bankhead. Get that. There's limited opportunities for them to have these amenities. So they're taking their hard-earned dollars and usually traveling north or east to spend money to get a button-down shirt for their kid to play in the orchestra, because you can't get a button-down shirt in that part of town. Just to think about that. Khakis.
I understand.
And so now I want to bring the amenities and make sure that we can keep the people in place so that they're not priced out of their homes or any kind of issues with that.
What can you all do legally in terms of these investors who are buying up some of those homes over there? Because that's part of the problem as well.
Yeah. So what I'm hoping for is I'm pushing something uphill to the Biden administration and to the state. One of the biggest things that happened was 30 to 40% of the homes that were bought in 2021 were bought by investors.
True.
Investors, people that had no intention of living there. They just bought it, fixed it up, and then they threw some paint on it and moved somebody else in. That immediately starts causing inflation of price inflation. And what I'd like to see is federal support to say these banks can't overspend in these communities and gentrify them to the tune of 30 and 40%. That because I can't be at every closing table. But what I can do on my end is try to tell the nation to stop letting that happen, but also remind community members, don't sell out. Don't sell your home unless you're ready to move. And if you're ready to move, I got some other places that I can try to help you get into, but we're not going to see your legacy residents leave all because these investors keep knocking on their door.
Finally, what has been the biggest lesson you've learned so far about being mayor of Atlanta?
Whew, I learned a lot. I learned that loving this city has prepared me for this moment. Not being cocky about it, but I wouldn't. I feel very, honored that every time I say let's do something, the city is like let's go. People are happy about the energy, and they feel that they're in a place of trust. Other things I've learned is that everybody wants you. Everybody wants the mayor to make this decision, and
Well, you are the mayor.
I'm the mayor, and it's crazy. You know, you've been a city councilman for 8 years. You can look around, you got 15 other folks you can talk to about an idea. At the end of the day, that mayor button is the button that's going to say yay or nay.
Any missteps that you want to admit to that you wish you would have done differently already?
Well, I tell you, we put forth $58 million towards affordable housing in this first budget. But, council said, hey, we thought we were going to get $7 million for this, the 1% match that you, Andre, voted for when you were a council member. I was like, y'all didn't see this $58 million? They were like, we like the 7 too. I said, you ain't got to twist my arm on affordable housing. Let's go. And I wish I would have just, went on and did that in the very beginning. I was saving, trying to manage the rollout of things, but I'm glad they pushed me on it. It didn't take me but 2 days to say, hey guys, I'm in, let's go. And those are my, city council members are my friends, supporters, allies, and I am a supporter of theirs. And we push in the same direction on this stuff. We'll get it done. And then, Forest Cove, they right there with me. We are helping. Listen, you're going to see some things come out in the next 7 to 10 days. People with keys in their hands moving into new places outside of Forest Cove. We've given them 3 properties to look at each. And we're, making that move now that school is out. Had to wait for school to get out so that we didn't disrupt those families and their education. Trying to get as many units as we can, 211. We're getting a lot of them, and we'll keep going. Anybody got some, some units that you would like to give us, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, we take them.
All right. Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens, as always, thank you for coming in, answering the questions. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Rose. Thank you for all your listeners. WABE. I looked and I got my monthly contribution came out today.
You say that?
My bad. Separation of church and state, my bad.
We appreciate it. I can get some socks now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm a member.
CloserLook returns in a moment.